She waited her whole life for someone, but on the final rainy night, the answer came in a way no one could ever imagine. The train station was quiet that evening. The sun had already fallen behind the hills, and the faint glow of the street lamps painted long shadows across the empty tracks. Maya sat on a wooden bench near platform number 3. Her hands held a single white rose. The petals trembled slightly in the cool wind. Every few minutes, she looked up at the arrival board. The same message blinked again and again, delayed. She had been waiting for 3 hours. But she did not move. She did not speak. Her eyes stayed fixed on the dark end of the railway line. As if her heart could pull the train out of the night itself. The sound of footsteps echoed across the platform. A ticket collector walked past, his flashlight sweeping across the floor. He nodded politely, but Maya did not respond. Her face was pale, her lips pressed tightly together. The clock above the waiting hall ticked slowly. The hands moved like they were dragging through time. A whisper of rain touched the air. The first drop landed on the rose. Maya closed her eyes. The scent of rain and iron filled her lungs. It reminded her of him. Arun. He promised he would return on this train. He promised that nothing in the world would stop him. That was 3 years ago. He never came back. And yet every evening, at the same hour, Maya returned to this place. The people at the station began to call her, the girl who waited. Some said she had lost her mind. Some said her love was cursed. Others whispered that she was waiting for someone who was no longer alive. But Maya never spoke of it. She only watched the tracks. The wind played with her hair. Her reflection in the glass of the waiting hall looked like a ghost. Tonight, something was different. The train that had been delayed for hours suddenly appeared in the distance. Its faint light flickered like a heartbeat through the fog. Maya stood up slowly, her breath catching in her throat. As the train drew closer, the air around her changed. The sound of its wheels grew louder. But there was no one else on the platform. The entire station felt deserted, as if the world had stopped just for her. When the train finally halted, the doors opened with a slow hiss. No passengers stepped out, only a single breeze slipped past her, carrying a strange chill that brushed against her neck. Maya's heartbeat quickened. She stepped forward, her eyes scanning the empty carriages. And then she saw him. He was standing inside the last compartment. Same gray jacket, same soft eyes, but his skin looked pale. Too pale. Her voice trembled. Arun, he smiled gently. I told you I would come back. Tears filled her eyes. She reached out her hand. But the space between them felt cold, as if the air itself refused to let them meet. Where have you been? She whispered. Why did you never return? He looked down, and his smile faded. I tried, he said quietly. The storm that night took everything. But my heart kept coming back here. Maya froze. Her fingers shook. She could see the faint glow inside his chest, like light trapped behind glass. You are not alive, she said softly. Her voice broke with each word. He nodded slowly. Not in the way you remember. But love never ends, Maya. It waits. The train whistle blew. The sound pierced the night. Arun stepped back toward the door. No, she cried. Take me with you. He shook his head. Your time is not here yet. Keep waiting for the sunrise, not for me. The train began to move. The wheels screeched softly against the rails. Maya tried to run alongside it. But her legs felt heavy. Her breath sharp and painful. The fog swallowed the last compartment. The faint light disappeared. She fell to her knees beside the tracks. The white rose crushed in her hand. Rain poured harder now, washing away everything except her tears. And then, a soft whisper brushed her ear. Maya. She turned. No one was there, only the sound of the wind moving through the station. Her heart pounded. On the bench where she had been sitting, she saw something resting in the rain. A small, folded paper. She picked it up with trembling fingers. It was old, almost falling apart. The words inside were written in his handwriting. If I do not return, look to the last train. That is where my heart will wait for you. Lightning flashed. Maya looked back at the tracks. And for a single moment, she saw his silhouette standing beside the departing train, smiling, watching her. Then he was gone. Maya pressed the letter to her chest. Her eyes closed, and she whispered, I will wait, even if it takes forever. The rain kept falling, the trains kept passing, and the girl who waited became a legend whispered across every platform. They said that sometimes, on quiet nights, a young woman in white could still be seen standing by the tracks, holding a rose, and waiting for a train that never truly arrives. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, but Maya never stopped returning to the same platform. Every evening at dusk, she sat on the same bench with a new white rose. The people who worked at the station no longer questioned her silence. They simply nodded when they saw her. Some with pity, some with quiet respect. Children who played nearby whispered stories about her. They said she was a spirit. A woman trapped between worlds. Waiting for the train that carried her heart away. But Maya was alive. Her skin still felt the rain. Her tears still tasted of salt. Her heart still beat. Yet something inside her had changed. She no longer felt completely human. Part of her belonged to the platform now. To the rails that shivered each night when the train passed through. One evening, the station master approached her. He was an old man with kind eyes. "Maya," he said softly, "you have to stop waiting. That train will never bring him back." She looked up slowly, her voice calm but distant. "He comes when the rain falls. You just cannot see him." The old man sighed. He left her there under the dim light of the lamps, watching the tracks disappear into the mist. That night, the storm returned. The same kind of storm that took Arun away. Lightning cracked across the sky. The wind howled through the trees. And the smell of wet iron filled the air once again. Maya stood at the edge of the platform, her white dress clinging to her in the rain. She raised the rose and whispered his name. "Arun." The thunder answered. Then, through the roaring storm, she heard it. The faint whistle of a train. Her eyes widened. It was impossible. No train was scheduled that night. The entire railway had been closed because of the storm. But the sound grew louder. The rails began to tremble beneath her feet. A pale light appeared far down the track. Maya took a step forward, her heart racing. The station was empty, every door locked, every light flickered weakly in the wind. The train emerged from the darkness. Silver and black, its windows glowing faintly with golden light. Inside, shadows moved, but not like living people. They floated, their faces calm and distant. Their eyes closed as if they were dreaming. The train slowed to a stop in front of her. Steam rolled across the platform, cool and heavy. The doors opened with a soft hiss. The wind fell silent, and there he was. Arun stood in the doorway. The same gray jacket, the same quiet smile. "Maya," he said, his voice deep and gentle. "You have waited long enough." Her eyes filled with tears. "I do not want to wait anymore," she whispered. "I want to come with you." He stepped closer, his hand reaching out. This time, she could feel the warmth of his palm. Not cold, not distant, warm, like sunlight through fog. "But if I go," she said, her voice trembling, "I will not come back, will I?" He shook his head slowly. "Sometimes love asks us to stay. Sometimes it asks us to follow. Only you can choose." The wind picked up again. Lightning flashed behind the clouds. The rain began to fall harder. But she no longer felt the cold. Her body felt light, like she was standing on the edge of two worlds. One fading, one waiting. She looked at the platform. Empty, wet, and lonely. Then at him, his eyes filled with peace. She smiled softly. "I have waited long enough." She stepped forward, her hand touched his, and the light from the train grew brighter, filling the air with gold and silver hues. The sound of the rain faded. The thunder softened. The world around her dissolved into a soft hum, like the last note of a song that refuses to end. When the morning came, the station workers found the platform empty. Only a single white rose lay on the bench. Next to it, a folded letter. It read, "Do not wait for what is gone. Love does not end where life does." The station master kept that letter in his office. Years passed, but sometimes, during the first rain of the season, he swore he could hear the sound of laughter echoing faintly down the tracks. The laughter of two voices. A man and a woman, riding the last train together. Travelers who arrived late at night often spoke of seeing a girl in white standing by the rail, holding a rose, smiling as the light of a train faded into the mist. No one ever found where the train came from. No one ever found where it went. But the legend remained. They called it, the train of the heart. And the girl who waited, the one who once sat on platform number 3, was said to have finally reached her destination. Because sometimes, the longest wait in this world, is just the first step into forever. The rain had finally stopped. The sound of the drops had faded into silence, leaving only the rustle of trees and the soft hum of night insects. The girl stood by the window, her hands trembling slightly as the cold wind touched her face. Her heart no longer raced as before. It had slowed, quiet, as if it too had decided to wait no more. She turned toward the small table beside her. The old photograph lay there, slightly curled at the edges, its colors fading with time. She traced her fingers across the smiling face in the picture, his face. The man who promised he would return before the first rain. He never did. Every year she waited by that same window. Through every monsoon, through every sunrise, through every silence. Her hair turned from black to gray, her eyes from bright to dim. But her heart stayed where it had always been, at the edge of that window, hoping, listening, waiting. Tonight felt different. There was something strange in the air, something heavier than the scent of wet soil. The clock ticked softly in the corner. Each sound echoed like a heartbeat in the empty room. She walked toward the door, her steps slow, her body tired. And then, a knock. A single, gentle knock on the wooden door. Her heart paused. It was a sound she had dreamed of, a sound she had imagined for so many years that she had forgotten how real it could be. She opened the door. The air outside was cool, and mist curled around the fields. There was no one standing there, only a small lantern, glowing faintly in the darkness. She picked it up. It was the same lantern he used the night he left. She whispered his name, barely audible. The sound of her voice broke the stillness, like a memory being set free. The wind passed through the open door, moving gently through the room, lifting a few dry petals from the floor. In that moment, she smiled, a fragile, peaceful smile. The waiting had ended, not because he had returned, but because she finally understood. Some promises are not meant to be fulfilled in this world. Some waits are meant to teach the heart how to love without expecting, how to believe without seeing. She placed the lantern by the window, where the rain once fell, where her heart had once lived. The flame flickered softly, glowing like the final breath of a long, silent prayer. The wind calmed, the night grew still, and when the morning sun rose over the distant hills, the villagers saw the window open, the curtains fluttering gently. The girl was no longer there. Only the lantern remained, still burning, as if she had finally found her way to the place she had been waiting for all her life. The girl who waited had become the light that never faded. Her story was not one of sorrow, but of eternal love, a love that lived beyond time, beyond return, beyond waiting.